CBS News.
WNBA star Brittany Griner pleaded guilty to drug charges today in Russia. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
What may have gone on here this morning in that Russian court was designed to try to get her a lesser sentence or to get her into some kind of an agreement that gets her sent home.
Former Marine Paul Whelan has been detained in Russia since 2018. His brother David says Griner's case is now highlighting Paul's too.
Her celebrity has helped to raise awareness about Paul's case, and if I may say, her supporters are extraordinarily generous by being very inclusive of mentioning Paul when they mention that Ms. Griner should be freed as well.
Boris Johnson has resigned as Prime Minister in Britain.
It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister.
Here in the U.S., the IRS is taking a closer look at an unusual audit on two former FBI officials. CBS's Scott McFarlane.
An internal inspector at the IRS will review these rare, extensive audits that were performed on two former FBI heads, James Comey and Andrew McCabe. Both Comey and McCabe had come under fire from former President Trump. The chair of a House Ways and Means subcommittee also tells CBS News that subcommittee might launch a review of its own.
President Biden presented Medals of Freedom today in Washington to 17 honorees, from former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords to the late Steve Jobs and Olympians Megan Rapinoe and Simone Biles.
Today, she adds to her medal count of 32. I don't even going to find room. 32 Olympic and World Championship medals.
Actor Denzel Washington was also honored but couldn't be there because he's homesick with COVID. Hollywood lost another star today. Actor James Caan has died.
Now you want to gun down a police captain, why? Because he slapped you in the face a little bit? Huh? What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
Caan was famous for his roles in The Godfather, Brian's Song, and my personal favorite, Elf. He was 82 years old. This is CBS News.
Facet Wealth is an SEC-registered investment advisor. They offer customized financial planning for you, not just your assets. Learn more at facetwealth.com/Jill.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. That's 800-401-6681.
From the Hertine and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Hertine and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Now, Iowa City's news first.
I'm Jim Hunter with KCJJ News. The Johnson County Sheriff's Office has released further details on the incident at the GuideLink Center on Southgate Avenue Tuesday. Law enforcement was called to the center around 2 p.m. after an individual came into the building and began physically assaulting staff members. Once officers arrived on scene, the individual began assaulting them, and the individual was detained. He was taken to a local hospital for evaluation. A backpack was left on scene with suspicious materials inside. The Johnson County Metro Bomb Team removed the backpack, which contained incendiary materials with an attached fuse. The package was removed without incident. Law enforcement then obtained information that indicated the suspect, 23-year-old Nezzy_Conway, had been in contact with a former teacher and told them that if the teacher and Conway's mother couldn't find him a romantic partner within 30 days, he would take his own life. He also allegedly said repeatedly that hurting other people and using explosive devices was part of his suicide plan. Conway's behavior during the incident Tuesday led law enforcement to believe that he was acting on that plan. The arrest report also indicates that the bomb team responded to a separate suspicious package incident earlier in the morning at the College of Public Health. The device was reportedly placed in an exterior electrical outlet and appeared singed where someone attempted to set it on fire. Police say that the word help was written on the wall above the outlet with what appeared to be ash or soot. The device at the College of Public Health and at the Guideling Center contained the same color neon tape. Iowa City Police had a previous report about Conway possibly making bombs and stealing an LP tank to alter it to explode. The bomb team then executed a search warrant at the Capitol House Apartments residence of the suspect on South Dubuque Street and reportedly found the LP tank and other items consistent with the incendiary materials found at the Guideling Center. A notebook was also found containing the statement, "Use incendiaries to destroy the electrical box" by the courthouse and signed with the suspect's name. Conway is in custody at the Johnson County Jail. He's been charged with possession of incendiary or explosive device and an outstanding warrant for failure to appear on a fourth-degree criminal mischief charge. In addition, the University of Iowa police have charged Conway with terrorism and possession of an incendiary or explosive device. Additional charges are expected by the Sheriff's Office and Iowa City Police. As it stands now, Conway faces a prison sentence of up to 46 years if convicted on current charges. The Coralville Police Department has announced funeral arrangements for Sergeant John Williams, who died due to an extreme medical incident while on duty Sunday. Visitation services will be held this Sunday from 4 to 7. Funeral services are scheduled for Monday at 10 a.m. Both events will take place at Grace Community Church, located at 2707 Dubuque Street Northeast in North Liberty. The family of Sergeant Williams in the release respectfully requests no media or press be present at Grace Community Church at either the visitation or funeral proceedings. There'll be a procession of emergency vehicles at the conclusion of the funeral service. A full processional route will be posted on the Coralville Police Department social media page in the coming days. Williams was a 28-year veteran of the police force. A North Liberty man gave authorities a unique explanation for his actions after allegedly being caught stealing liquor from an Iowa City grocery store. The incident occurred last Friday at the Waterfront Hy-Vee around 4:15 p.m. 20-year-old Jackson Daniels of Lynx Lane was seen by staff putting alcohol in a cart while in the wine and spirits section of the store. He reportedly walked out of that department and headed for the exit without paying before he was stopped by staff. Daniels allegedly admitted stealing the alcohol, saying he wanted to get drunk, and took the liquor because he's not yet 21 and knew the store wouldn't sell it to him. The value of the liquor allegedly taken was over $130. Daniels was charged with fifth-degree theft, a simple misdemeanor. We'll have softball playoff action Friday night on KCJJ as Regina hosts El Burnett. That game will start at 7 o'clock with Ray Gilmore on the play-by-play here on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. With Iowa City's news first, I'm Jim Hunter.
KCJJ weather brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
With a look at your forecast, I'm meteorologist Ashley O'Connor. Cloudy skies tonight with scattered rain showers. Heavy downpours are possible at times. Low temps will fall to the upper 60s. Rain continues into the day tomorrow with a high of 80. Looking beautiful Saturday with a high temp in the low 80s. Sunshine on Sunday with a high near 85. Mainly sunny on Monday. The heat returns with highs in the upper 80s and low 90s. That's KCJJ weather. Right now, it's 80 degrees.
You're listening to Molly Suter on the mighty 1630 KCJJ.
Yes, but it's not just me.
It's me too.
It's Cindy.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Can you talk some more so I can look at your levels?
I can look at my levels too. There's like 2 lights that are popping up. No, 1.
I think you're okay.
Okay.
I think you're good. Yeah, so we got a new board in the production studio that nobody told me about. And so I walked in there today just to get things set up. And I was like, what? So, luckily we had it all figured out and I didn't have to push too many buttons. I did not ruin anything, Steve. Don't worry.
I saw her. She was like twiddling with each
one
of the knobs.
I was not. I didn't touch anything I did not need.
It's just distracting because there's like lights that go on that I never noticed on the old board.
It's because there were no lights on the old board. It was an old board. This one is new and shiny.
Was invented before lights were invented?
Probably. No, we had that board probably since we were here the first time. And we left here the first time in 2007.
Right.
Still have these phones too. I've been complaining about these phones since I got here for full time in 2015.
I mean, they look like normal office phones, sort of.
I feel like they're from like 2003.
They're not even wireless or whatever, like cordless.
No,
Cordless is what it's called.
They have cords, and the audio quality is just bad. I can barely understand people unless they're like enunciating really, really well.
And that's a good reminder. You can call in and ask questions.
You can call in 319-358-1630 if you want. And if you have like a topic you want to talk about, or just really anything, or if we were saying something later that you want to chime in on, you can.
Yes.
You may. Just don't be annoying.
No. I was going to say no lunch menus, but...
Well, the lunch menus are in the morning. Usually.
You never know. Hopefully.
Dinner menus.
Brunch. We're only going to accept brunch menus.
Ooh. Okay. Man, I want to go to brunch. I should go to brunch.
What's stopping you?
The fact that...
I'm trying to... Sorry, check... And we're on almost live.
Well, currently it's because as of very, very recently, I couldn't really move because I sprained my ankle last Thursday
I was wondering, you were walking kind of slow. I thought maybe you were just tired.
No.
Okay.
It's because I sprained my ankle a week ago tonight. I was getting, for those of you who don't know the story, I did tell the story earlier, but it was a few days ago, and I don't know how many people are loyal listeners and who just turns this on sometimes. Anyway, so on Thursday night, I came home and got into the shower, and I couldn't even get my hair wet before my foot just completely gave out from under me, and I, like, crumpled to the floor.
Oh.
And I twisted my ankle on the way down, and it didn't feel like my ankle at the time. It felt like above it. It felt like my shin, like something was wrong. Like I tweaked a bone or something. It felt like that. And so my dumbass was like, "Oh, I'll be able to get up and continue with my shower."
No.
No. So I managed to turn the water off, and then I, like, crawled out of the tub, and then I'm like, I think I need to go to the hospital after, like, 20 minutes, just in case it was broken or
is it
fractured or something.
Did they just put it in a splint, or did they just tell you to shake it off?
Well, they told me to, first they told me it was sprained, and then they told me to wrap it and keep it elevated and iced. And so that's what I did. I'm moving now, but I spent the first few days, Friday and Saturday, completely, like, incapacitated. I was
that explains the exchange on Facebook that, like, half of the KCJJ staff was in the emergency room. Okay.
Yeah.
Tommy's in.
Well, Tommy's out now, actually.
Okay, good.
He's out. He'll be back tomorrow, actually. I don't think anybody would mind if he took, like, a day to himself, not in the hospital, but he'll be back tomorrow. And yeah, so I spent Friday, actually, it was very apt timing because Amy stayed home with me and we binge watched Stranger Things. So it was, like, really, really good timing for me.
Okay, I'm so glad you said you watched it. So you're caught up.
Oh, but caught up.
I don't want to spoil.
Oh, I don't care. It's been out for like a week. People, you need to watch it as soon as it
I thought I
gets
had
out.
seen it after it had already been out because I'm like, oh, the second part of it's out. The second part of the last season.
Yeah, that was
so
what
on TikTok,
happened on Friday.
Are you done with your? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done.
Somebody came up with an interesting theory for the next season. I don't even know if there is a next season. Is there?
There is, yeah. And it will be the last one. They're going to just wrap up this story.
So the heavy metal dude, which, by the way, that scene was amazing. I don't even like heavy metal. And that scene...
It was great.
Playing the guitar.
Oh, it was great.
And again, I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that.
No. Because we're not saying who it was. We're not saying what happened to them.
Although this theory will spoil it a little bit.
Okay,
but maybe I won't go into great detail.
So, tentative spoiler, people. So if you haven't seen it, maybe switch to something else.
if you haven't seen it, also this theory I think is an interesting way because I want to rewatch it to see. But
I'm definitely.
So I don't know a lot about Dungeons and Dragons, but this whole show has been based on the lore of Dungeons and Dragons.
Like they named the monsters after Dungeons and Dragons monsters.
I always thought Dungeons and Dragons was just made up by whatever dungeon master, but there are actual real stories, right?
Yeah, there are like monsters and classes and like spells that you base your story off of. Like every story is the dungeon master's own story.
But do you have to base it on? I know I'm going off on a tangent, but do you have to base it on the Dungeons and Dragons characters or?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I think there are some ways you can customize your character a little bit, but I think those are more for advanced players who know the base level, what you have to do anyway, and then if you can think of something in your imagination that complements that without completely going
so you have
against
to have
the game.
The base of the story, and then you just... Okay, that's interesting. Okay, well, Vecna.
Yes.
They said something, and I kind of lost the detail, but Vecna is the main character, right? The main guy that is the main villain. Evil. And then his sidekick is some sort of vampire of some sort.
Oh.
And they were saying that the Eddie character has bat tattoos and that he'll come back as a vampire in the next season.
Oh my gosh.
Does that make sense?
I mean, I hope...
I lost a little bit of the detail because the guy talked about some other Dungeons and Dragons stuff, but I kind of I heard Vecna and I heard vampire and I'm like, oh my God, that would be cool.
Yeah, he was a fan favorite this season, and although I was talking to Amy about this too, that although we like the fact that Hopper is back, because Hopper's one of my favorite characters, and I like that, spoiler alert, they kind of alluded to a Hopper-Joyce relationship in the next season.
I thought they already had a relationship.
Well, no, they kissed.
I thought they were already dating before they went on a first date.
No.
And she's been mooning over him when he died.
They've both been mooning over each other. That was the point. That was
I already thought they were a full-fledged relationship.
No, they were not. No, not until, she came to save him in Alaska or Russia or wherever that was. And, yeah, but they weren't together. But I think they are now because they were, kissing. They almost hooked up. And they're clearly in love with each other.
Well, yeah, and I guess I grew up on the Sam and Diane Will They Won't They, where they dragged it out for God knows how many seasons.
Well, they have dragged it for God knows how many seasons.
But I figured that by the time he passed away, they were just pretty much, or he didn't pass away.
No,
they thought he died. He really didn't die.
But anyway, my point was that Amy and I were talking, and we think that although we liked the fact that they brought him back, it kind of cheapened the scene in which everyone was kind of mourning his loss at the end of the third season. We got all this closure, and then he just came back, and so I kind of don't want that for Eddie. I kind of don't want them to just keep bringing people back.
I think Eddie will come back if he comes back as a vampire type character, he's a different character.
Oh, so he's not going to be Eddie. He's going to be
he could be evil.
Possibly. He could, yeah.
But he didn't really have. It seems like the people that go to the upside down world that become evil, like the Vecna dude, he was already not a great human. You know what I mean?
No, he was a creepy kid.
He was already on his way to being evil, whether or not he went to the upside down world or he. Whatever. He would have been a psychopath. Mass murderer, basically.
I mean, he was. He killed his family.
Right. But had he not found that creepy experimental place.
Yeah.
Or Papa, or whatever.
I don't like that they called him that.
No, because she always sounds like she's a little bit German when she says it. She says it. Is she American? Does she have an American accent in real life? Or
No, she's British.
Okay, and then so is Eddie Munson or whatever his name is. Because I saw something and he was speaking with a British accent.
Yep.
And you know what else freaked me out?
What?
I'm all over the place. Umbrella Academy. Do you ever watch that?
No.
The main character who plays the big, I don't know if you've seen pictures, but anyone who watches it, plays American, American accent on the show, but he's full on British accent. I knew the other guy was. I knew a couple of the characters had British accents or Cockney, whatever accents. I don't know the different kinds.
Cockney is more like London, like working class.
Well, one
London.
guy is very working class. He's got a very working class accent.
Yeah.
And I already knew that because I'd seen him in British shows before. And that's one of the reasons why I started watching The Umbrella Academy is because of him. But I didn't realize.
Umbrella Academy?
Yeah.
I thought you said Canopy.
Oh, no. Umbrella Academy.
Okay.
But that freaked me out. I don't know why that always. Why is it that British actors do such a great. They do such great American accents.
It's because, there's a lot of American media that's just broadcasted all around the world, especially in Britain, because, we're so alike culturally. And so they grow up with the American accent much more than we grow up with the British or whatever other kind of accent. Because, most of the entertainment media we consume comes out of this country, and most of the entertainment media they consume comes out of this country and not their own. So they have much more of a basis, and they've grown up hearing it, so they can do it better. They're actors, so
it always freaks me out. I never watched Walking Dead, but the main guy on Walking Dead, he's British.
Oh,
the first interview I saw, I'm like, what on earth?
What's his name? Because he was in Love Actually too, so I know he was British because I've seen him in Love Actually.
Yeah. It just freaks me out. It always freaks me out. I'm always a little bit shook whenever I see that. I'm like, oh, I had no idea.
Whatever. British people don't freak me out. I mean, in terms of accents, but Australian people do.
Yeah, I always think of the guy from the vampire True Blood.
True Blood. Yeah, no, he was just
because I still can't.
So
I don't know that I when I think of him, I don't even think about him being Australian.
No,
I just think about him as being Southern.
It's because he does such a great job with the accent, and so whenever I hear him actually speak, I'm like, what?
Keep doing it. It's amazing.
I'm sorry I keep hitting this mic. I'm not sure what's wrong. I'm talking with my hands. That's what's wrong with me.
And back to Stranger Things, Hopper. I didn't love him this year.
I
liked him better as the, kind of messy.
Thick Hopper?
Well, he was thick, and also just emotionally, he was a total disaster.
Well,
that's my jam.
He's in survival mode this season. He had to survive to get back to Joyce,
but
and
he's all fit and he's focused. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what happened, but I don't bring the alcoholic.
Cindy's like a well-adjusted man. No thanks.
I don't like it. I gotta find some other mess of a human to watch.
Not that he's well-adjusted in this season. That was a
no, but he's definitely focused, and he's got he
focused,
knows what he's going to do.
He's determined.
He's definitely the leader. He got all the prison people to follow him.
You don't think that's hot?
Not as hot as
I think that's hot.
Him being a mess. Again, I know. I realize I need therapy, but I'm just saying.
Listen, well, I love him either way, Cindy.
I don't like him as much. And I'll stick with that.
Oh, I saw a TikTok that was I know we love the moment when he and Joyce kissed, but also think about the fact that he has not really showered or brushed his teeth in 8 months.
He's been eating maggots too. He admitted it.
I know, so I'm yeah, that was romantic, whatever, but also ew.
I know, that's why sometimes shows like that kind of take me out of the moment. I always think of The Walking Dead. One of the reasons why I don't watch that is because I know they don't have showers or electricity. And they're there's some romantic interests and there's some survival stuff, but it's you're not showering. It's got to smell so bad.
You're supposed to not think about that. You're just supposed to not think about that and just think wow, these characters are finally getting together. Yay. And I was like that. But also when I saw that TikTok, I'm like, oh, they're right.
Gross.
Yeah.
And they shaved his head for a reason. Everyone had shaved heads in the prison because there's probably lice everywhere.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And whatever other vermin, bed bugs, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, maggots. Again.
I wouldn't get close to him. But again, he's way too...
Joyce's hopelessly in love with him, though.
I know.
And she went to go save him.
I didn't even notice that they kissed at the very end. That's how out of it.
You didn't?
I wasn't even paying attention to that because...
Because
I'm not... I kind of thought they already did.
No. They hadn't. That was the whole point. Like, at the end of season 3, before Hopper's quote-unquote death, was them, like, setting a date and finally, like, probably getting somewhere, if only he didn't, you know.
I'm wanting the two main boys, and I don't remember their names, to finally ship each other.
Oh, Will and Mike?
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously the one guy that's the artist that was in the Down Under place.
That... The Upside Down?
Can you tell?
Down Under.
I don't remember names.
Yeah, he was in Australia.
It was okay. The Upside Down.
That's Will.
Will.
Yeah, they're heavily alluding to the fact that he is gay and that I think he might come out next season.
I hope so.
I really hope they do because I don't like how they're dancing around it. I really want them to
he's clearly conflicted about something, and maybe it's not that, but it seems like that would be the most.
And also, it's not the fact that they're trying to hide the fact that, like, gay people existed in the 80s, because, like, Robin is very openly gay.
Right. But lesbian's different.
But why?
I don't know. It's softer.
Why is it?
I don't know. Because I think the men of the world still think that they can turn a lesbian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, am I wrong?
No, you're not.
But two men together are somehow... is an assault to their own sexuality for somehow.
Oh,
like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, not all men. I have to say that. Not all men.
Yes.
But, you know what I'm saying? I think that's why lesbians are okay, because there's always that, they might invite me to come along.
Or it's like, it's harmless. Yeah. The women folk can do whatever they want.
They just braid each other's hair, don't they?
Because it just doesn't really matter what women do.
Right.
But
I think that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
I think there's some truth to that, for sure. And also, like, Will is one of the main characters, and Robin is kind of an offshoot, so they can do whatever they want with her. But
That's very
although
valid.
I love Robin, and I love
her a lot, too.
Yeah, and I wish she was introduced in, like, season 2 or something. I wish we had more time with her.
I think it's interesting, though, that her crush, okay, first of all, kind of looks like Molly Ringwald.
Yeah.
I thought it was at first.
No, Molly Ringwald is like...
I know, she's really old. She's my age. But she also looks like she could be her sister. Like, they look very...
Or daughter.
No, I mean, looks like Robin. Like, Robin and her could be
really?
related.
I
thought they looked almost identical towards the end.
No,
Yeah, I'm like...
I didn't think that.
She just likes herself. Maybe that's the whole thing.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing to like yourself, especially when you're a teenager. Most people don't.
Well, and that's the one thing I don't like about, like, I'm not a big fan of the whole, you guys are meant to be together. They're like 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
Like, I
They're
mean, I get it.
children.
They're doing adult things. They're saving the world. But let's not, like, put them into a relationship for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. I mean, for the rest of the show, for sure. But also, I was talking about this with Amy, too, that maybe the older kids, like Steve and Nancy, maybe they will end up together, like, forever. Because, like, they have this shared trauma now, and it bonds people.
Steve's the long-haired video rental guy, right?
Yes.
So, and also, they were together. They've been
In
apart.
season 1, yeah.
And if they get back together, they've learned their lessons, and they personally have grown and evolved throughout the last couple of years, like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But if you get stuck into a relationship at 14, 15,
right,
you're not going to grow into the person that you need to be.
Personally, I think Steve is too good for Nancy now. I think Nancy is real boring.
He's totally hot.
He's hot. And you can
Like,
say
wait,
that
I
because
should probably look. Is he of age in real life?
Joe Keery is an adult man. You can say he's hot.
Well, adult man isn't he's like barely 21, or is he
no,
30 something playing a 15-year-old?
I feel like he's probably my age.
Yeah, he's getting hotter and hotter every single season.
Let me just look before you go further.
And he is totally the kind of guy I would have crushed on when I was
in the 80s.
That age, in that era.
He's 30. He's fine.
Oh, yeah, but again, they're having like fully grown adults playing teenagers.
Well, that's just what you do. Honestly, that's just how it is because...
But then kids that are playing kids, they have literally grown up in front of our eyes.
Okay, so Yeah, I know. The kids playing kids are like, 2 of them are 20 and are like, would be playing Steve and Nancy and stuff, but I mean, it's you can't think of them as like 17 or 18. You think of them as like children,
right?
Like 12, because that's when we were introduced to them.
I know the Harry Potter actor Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah. I still think of him as little Harry Potter, even though he's done like full nude theater. Like he's a grown man. I even watch him in things now. Me. Yeah, I watch him in stuff now, like the TV shows that he's in now and the movies, and I still think of him as 11-year-old Harry Potter.
And that's the problem with like a lot of child actors, is they're never allowed to grow up. And I hope that that doesn't happen with these kids, because I know they're a really talented bunch, and not only can they act, but I think most of them can sing too. Some of them were on Broadway. And so I really hope they have really long. Didn't know that. I just hope they have really long, successful careers, and they're not just stuck in Stranger Things forever. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though, like, I mean, we've seen them grow up, like, before our very eyes. They're like our kids.
Yeah, definitely. Although Steve's not my kid.
No,
he's 30.
I meant
I called dibs. No,
I meant like the kids, right? Not the adult people playing teenagers.
I mean, I like his character arc the best, I think. Because he was such a jerk at the very beginning. Know. And he was set up to be kind of like the evil, like, jock, jerk that's going to be mean to everybody. Mm-hmm. But he, like, really
turned out to be one of the best characters.
I love the way he had, like, the evil to good arc, which I like.
Yes, I like that, too. He had a lot of character development.
He was the Jaime Lannister at the very beginning. You didn't watch Game of Thrones.
No, I have to
Although
watch...
he didn't actually kill any child, but... He did push the one guy down and break his camera.
I have to watch season 1 again, because I didn't really like it, and I watched season 1 pretty much just because people were obsessed with the show. And I liked season 2 and season 3, and I loved season 4, so I've seen season 2 and season 3 a few times now, but I haven't gone back to season 1 since I originally watched it in 2016. So I'm going to go do that soon, I think.
I don't think same as Game of Thrones. I didn't watch it until about 2nd or 3rd season came out, and then I binged it. I tried it a couple times. I just didn't. It's one of those shows that just didn't hit right the first couple times I watched it. Like, I just didn't want to watch a show about a bunch of boys playing Dungeons and Dragons. It didn't seem that like I was the target market, but it was entertaining when nothing else.
Actually, you are the target market. The target market was for people who were children in the 80s playing Dungeons and Dragons or playing whatever.
Dungeons and Dragons. I wasn't allowed.
But you were a child in the 80s, and so they wanted you to watch and be nostalgic about it. And a lot of people are. Like, Tommy Lang loves this show, I think.
I enjoyed the season where they were at the mall all the time. That was
season 3. That was what I loved too. I'm like, they're so happy. They're like at the mall. They're
Actually, I think that's what made me finally watch it. Because I'm like, I have to see season 3, and I'm not watching it. I'm not the type of person that will just jump in at season 3. I got to watch it from the beginning.
No, you got to watch it from the beginning.
And I had so many false starts. I think I watched the first episode like 4 times before I finally okay, fine, I'll just sit and watch. And then I'm glad I invested the time. It was a good show.
Yeah. And I liked season 3 a lot. A lot of people didn't, just because it was a different vibe than the first 2. Mm-hmm. I feel like season 4 is like a natural continuation of season 1 and 2 rather than 3. But I liked season 3 because of the change of tone. I liked seeing these kids happy.
Yeah.
I liked seeing them have a good time. Except, at the end when, all hell broke loose. But, just when they were just at the mall.
Not all of hell.
Fun. Well,
just part of it.
Only a little bit, and then all hell broke loose season 4.
Yeah. But still, there's still some hell left. Contained.
And we'll see it in season 5.
When they bring vampires.
Eddie Munson vampire.
I'm all in for vampires. If they don't bring in vampires, I'm going to be a little annoyed. Because why not? Vampires always is a good addition to every single storyline.
I feel like they've done a really good job of doing the Dungeons and Dragons monsters, but like not the ones that we would think. Like the Demogorgon, I've never heard of that kind of monster. Or Vecna, like he's just really, he has like vines all over his body. Like I've never seen like that type of monster before.
Yeah, and you know Dungeons and Dragons. I've only played it twice.
I've played it a few times, but I never encountered Vecna. I never encountered a Demogorgon. I feel like when I played Dungeons and Dragons, I played with a bunch of guys who smoked some weed before they did, and so we would get distracted.
They would get distracted. You would get annoyed.
Yes, they would. I'd be like, "Can we have like a sober night, please?"
I didn't even know that there was characters. I just thought it was just you had.
Well,
I mean, I knew there was some structure to it, but I didn't realize there were. Like,
you choose your own character, but you choose like your race and like class. Like, are you a half orc bard?
I mean, I knew that part because I had to choose what my character was going to be. And then you have to roll for all your stuff,
which I loved doing.
Honestly, that's where it lost me pretty early on.
Really?
I'm like, you got to do a lot of math.
Oh, I like that.
Like you have to add stuff up, and I'm like, yeah, I don't.
But it was so funny. Like you had so much like wisdom, but then you would have like no dexterity, and so your character just like falls down all the time and is clumsy and can't do anything stealthy. I always thought that was fun. Like you had like this wild balance. It was always fun if you had like...
There's too many details to keep track of. I appreciate people that can play and enjoy it, but I think for me, I'm just not... It's too much to keep track of.
Do you know what I think would be fun? If I joined a campaign with all women, I feel like an all-women D&D campaign would be so funny.
I would be in if you're the master.
The DM.
I think I can even find my dye. I bought pink dye to play.
I have sparkly blue dye.
Oh, and I'm following a lady on TikTok who makes custom.
Really?
She makes really cool. She made ones with like little pigs in them. I mean, she makes the coolest dye molds or dye whatever.
Whatever it is, yeah. No, I don't, because the DM is really where all the math lies. And all the like,
but
the
as
planning.
The player, you got to roll for like whatever your thing is, and then like I just remember rolling and having to like write down on a piece of paper what everything was.
Yeah, so you have to do that as Dungeon Master too. You have to roll for like the monster that your party is fighting. You're like, oh, the Demogorgon rolls a 7 and knocks you off of your feet. You have to roll for what is it? Recovery or something.
I don't know, you know better than
I
just did what I was told.
And so if you get a 1, then like you're incapacitated, you're down for the count.
I spent, I think, most of my time saying, which die is that? I know you said the 13 side die, but
yeah,
I don't want to count that many sides.
There is a lot of that, and I have been DM before, but I found the technical side of it to be too much. So I feel like I would need like a co-DM. I could come up with ideas. I could come up with, like different characters and stuff like that, but the technical side would have to fall for someone else.
I will say I'm very fortunate because the dungeon master that did both games that I played was amazing. Like he had a whole story. Like I don't know how much it was based on Dungeons and Dragons lore, but he had a whole multi-chapter story planned out. He had maps written out. He had like an illustrated book that went with. I mean, he was super creative and super supportive, and I wish I would have liked it more. I mean, I liked it, but it's just also for me, it was like people who play that game, God bless them, they do it for 8 hours at a time.
Hours, yeah. Well, for us, our campaigns were, I mean, we would split up the campaign within a few days. Like, we could only do, like, 3 hours at a time to accommodate everyone's work schedule. And so I would get off work here and then go and play D&D until midnight. And yeah, so it doesn't all have to be like Dungeons and Dragons lore. Like when I was DM, I played with a bunch of my friends who like music, pop music, and so every monster we came across had the name of a pop star. So like Ariana the half vampire followed us around, or like Adele the innkeeper, and Pitbull the bartender, and you know, things like that. And so it just like gave more life to the game.
Interesting. I didn't think we'd talk about Dungeons and Dragons again, but that isn't even the first time that we've talked about D&D.
No, we've talked about it before. I miss it. I miss playing it, but I'm really busy. I'm too busy.
I think part of me also
D&D.
gets a little anxious for the DM because I know how much work goes into it, but I don't know how much work. And I always wonder, how do you figure out, like, when you meet a monster and I roll a certain amount, do DMs have to figure out each option for each number that you roll? So that they know, or do they just make it up on the spot? Because that doesn't seem very fair either.
I think it's either or both or one or the other in some capacities. Like if there's a 20, like a critical hit, like you know that's like the hit. But if it's like a 7, you have to get creative with the, oh yeah, you got him, but he doesn't seem very fazed by your attack, or something like that. And so I think it's both.
Okay.
And it depends on the situation.
Okay. That's just too many options.
Yeah, so it's just a lot of work for the DM, and so you have to really like doing it.
I wouldn't want to be a DM, and I wouldn't want to be a choose your own adventure writer book. Have you ever did those?
No.
That's just too much. That's too much options.
That is a lot, yeah. I mean, great for people who are indecisive.
Which I am, which is why I'd rather have somebody make the decisions for me. Maybe I should just do that. Like, did you ever watch Big Bang Theory?
Yes,
where
a little bit.
What's his face?
Sheldon.
Sheldon. I would have eventually remembered his name. Rolled for everything.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, there was
I don't remember
an episode where he was just rolling for like what shirt he was going to wear. Like he was like making that decision. I think there's a guy on TikTok that does that too. He rolls for his sandwich.
Oh, that seems fun.
So he's got a die that has like all the in it. Somewhere it's like 1, 2, 3, whatever, however many
Except
sides.
if you ended up with like peanut butter and mustard.
Well, that's the beauty of, I guess, his TikTok is that you never know what he's going to eat.
I mean, that does sound cool though. Cool to watch.
Yeah.
This mic. I'm all over the place.
You need the lights over here.
To just keep me distracted.
I'm like, oh, there's a blue one right there. I must be talking too loud. It's really going high.
Every time I talk,
I can make the lights move up and down and up and down.
Let's just have the next hour just be that. You'd be like, whoa, whoa. Yeah.
There's 4 people in the chat room, but there's
nobody's
chatting.
Talking. Y'all,
well, there's probably 2 people in the chat room because
right,
you and I are in there too.
God knows how many we have. Did anyone comment on our post?
Not usually.
On Facebook? Sometimes we get like a lot, and sometimes like it's crickets.
We have a few likes, and that's about it. Like, we acknowledge you're on.
We acknowledge that you're on, but we're not listening. Like, bye.
We'll listen later, and then later never comes. I'm trying to think of what else I've been watching on TV.
I've been rewatching Bridgerton, and I'm I'm continuing the series of books too.
I did check out Flowers in the
Attic.
Attic? I read like the first part of the prelude, and I'm like, or prologue or whatever it's called.
Prologue,
yes. And I thought, do I really want to settle down with this? But then, weirdly enough, TikTok keeps giving me an ad for a Flowers in the Attic based movie coming up.
Oh.
Or miniseries. But I think it's either before the Flowers in the Attic or after.
Right.
So I'm really confused. And now I'm like, should I read the books? Is that a reason why I should be reading the books again?
Didn't you say you wanted to reread it?
To see how awful they were?
Yeah, to see like how differently you think about it. I mean, you checked it out. You might as well read it.
I did check it out.
You might as well read it.
I think I only have 1 or 2 days left, but I can also extend it. Yeah, I should. Actually, it's probably just on the 14th day today because I checked it out while I was here last time, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just recently finished a book that I had to renew because for reading, I'm either like feverishly reading something or I don't read it.
Right.
And so it's just all or nothing. And so I had to renew this book a few times. The Jessica Simpson autobiography. That was actually very good.
Did you get that on Kindle through the library or?
Not on Kindle. It's an app on my phone.
Oh.
Libby, the library app.
Oh, I've got that too, but you can get it electronically.
Yeah,
I guess. Okay, that's what. Yeah.
Actually, they didn't have a physical option at the library. They only had it on digital.
That's the wave of the future.
Yes, and like I used to have a tablet that I read like ebooks on, but I don't have that anymore, and so I just read it on my phone.
I prefer phone reading, but
I would prefer like something a little bigger screen, but. I didn't have that option.
You can make the text bigger.
I could, but I don't like how it fills up the page. Because you could only read, like, instead of reading the full sentence, you read, like, 6 words at a time. I don't like that.
You get exhausted.
Yeah, exactly.
Every 5 seconds as you go.
Exactly.
Did you have a good 4th? Did you do anything on the 4th?
I was still reeling from my
Oh, yes, you were broken.
Not broken ankle, sprained ankle. So, we actually had, family friends that came in for the 4th, and we hung out with them. And that was nice. And my mom made this, 4th of July trifle. That was really, really good.
I was thinking of the Friends episode.
Yes! I referenced that. I was like, Mom, did you put, like, peas and beef in it? Just like Rachel from Friends.
She's like, together?
She's like, what? And I'm like, that was a plot point for an episode of Friends, and she didn't remember that one. But that was the first thing that came to mind when she said, I made a trifle. I'm like, oh, no.
The good old days.
But yeah, if anybody was wondering, I'm walking now.
But very slowly.
Very slowly and with a limp, but I am walking and I am improving every day.
You're going to survive. You're going to make it.
I'm going to make it.
We're going to have a 5K run in your honor.
Do you know, one of my Facebook friends, when I posted that status about, oh, my ankle is sprained, he was like, I sprained mine in November. It's still not fully healed. Haha. And that was one of the days where I was like fully down for the count. And I'm like, oh no, I'm never going to improve. And so I'm
going to walk fully without a limp again.
And if you're listening, like, go back to the doctor. Something's wrong.
I agree. Yes.
Oh, let's see who is on the other end of this phone. 1630 KCJJ, you are on the air. Hello.
Good evening, ladies.
Hello.
Molly, you actually made me cringe at the beginning of the show when I heard how you fell.
Oh, yeah.
Because my wife took a tumble stepping out of the shower / tub on March 30th. Mm-hmm. And you're going to cringe when you hear what happened. She actually completely did the splits.
Oh,
and she tore all of her tendons off her hamstring, completely off her pelvic bone.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Gosh.
And she's only 58 years old, and luckily she's in good shape and what have you.
Oh my god!
And so
is she like okay now? Is she like walking or?
She had major surgery 3 days later, and it was actually an outpatient surgery. And but like I said, that was March 30th, and I think the surgery is April 3rd or 4th.
Oh.
And she was on using a walker, or she's pretty much bed rest for 2 weeks, or 2 months, excuse me.
2 months.
But had to use a walker. Then she graduated to crutches.
Oh.
Then to one crutch.
Good.
And now she's walking good. She's not running or riding a bike, which she wants to do.
Yeah.
But she is walking. And
I am
this
so
is Dirk.
glad.
This is Dirk Sterner, by the way, Molly. So.
Oh, hi.
So anyway, to a public service announcement for you, both you ladies. I mean, we always think about getting our bathrooms ready for the elderly and our moms and dads. and it can happen to anybody. So,
I'm 29, and it happened to me. So
yeah. So I don't know if you rent or own, but install some grab bars.
I rent.
Both of you need to grab bars, or have them install some for you, and make sure if you got the basic tub shower combo that you got the right mats, and the rugs, and the flooring.
I have a mat there now. But yeah, once my dad and Steve knew I was alright, they got mad at me. They're like, "Why don't you have like a mat in your tub?"
Because they know my wife. They know my wife's story also through. I've talked to them on Facebook and what have you. So they've kind of keep tracking. Just the last 10 days or so, 2 weeks, she's able to walk up steps normally, alternate steps instead of one at a time.
I'm so glad she's improving.
Yeah, so like she's pretty much a couple of months ahead of her schedule as far as rehab, but it's just one of those things you never think of. So I'm just letting you ladies know, just take all precautions what you have to do if you have one of those tub shower combo when you step out. So
great, thanks for the PSA. And we actually, the ironic thing, we do have a handlebar in the tub. I was too far back to get it, and I just fell.
Yeah. Is it too low, or is it?
No, it was just I was like stepping in at the back of the shower.
Sure.
And like the bar is at like the other end, like by the actual like faucet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I couldn't get to it.
Yeah, I mean, and of course now we're going to getting our bathroom completely remodeled here in probably fall time, and it'll be we're getting rid of the tub or just a walk-in shower, and there'll be grab bars everywhere. But it's too late for now. But what happened? But still, it's something we thought about doing anyway. But now we're really going to do it. So just like you said, when I heard what you did, I went, oh gosh, no. I thought you're lucky in a way.
Yeah, no, I am. I didn't hit my head or anything, and like honestly, it was just a mild sprain. I felt bad for myself for being down for the count for 2 days, and your wife was on bed rest for 2 months.
2 months.
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah. So, well, you ladies take care, and I just had to call them.
All right. Yeah.
And let you go from there. So.
For sure. All right. Thanks.
All righty. You bet. Take care.
All right. Bye.
I feel like we have to stretch before we do anything, just in case we pull everything.
Doing the splits?
Well, and I hate carpet in bathrooms, and I've got carpet in my bathroom, but hearing that, I'm thinking that's why I haven't fallen, because I have an obnoxious, they call it a garden tub, and so it's got a really wide lip on the front.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea why. There's like a little seat there that I'm never going to sit on.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous.
So I have to take an extra wide step to get out of it, and I always think if I had linoleum there without a rug or something, I'd be falling all over the place.
Yeah. And I never even use the tub for baths anyway, because it's like, because I'm really just trying to get in and out of the shower. I'm not trying to usually like stand under the hot water. Like I really just want to get in and get out. And for me, baths are not worth it because they're meant to like be relaxing and stuff. But I don't want to be in the bathroom for longer than I
don't understand how people do that. But
no, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I never even use the tub, and neither does Amy. So there's no point other than the fact that we rent and we can't replace it.
Well, when I win the lottery and redo my bathroom, I'm getting a big tub, so I can use that as a whirlpool.
Yeah,
one of those tubs.
I feel like that's different.
That is different.
It's different.
I could sit with bubbles and jets blowing on me,
right,
for at least a little bit, as long as there's a TV in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I just can't sit. My kids do that. They sit in the bathtub and scroll through their phone, and I'm like.
I would just drop the phone.
I know, that's my big fear too, and they've never dropped it in the water, knock on wood, but
yeah,
I just can't sit there and do. I mean, I can sit and do nothing. I have no problem with that. I just can't sit in a tub and do nothing.
Yeah, even at like if I'm at the pool and I want to go to the hot tub, like I can't be in there for more than 5 minutes. I mean, I don't think you're supposed to any, but like. I get bored after 5 minutes. I can't. Yeah, he made me cringe.
Yeah,
the splits. Yeah.
And then the pelvic bone, like.
Yeah. Oh my god. I can't. Yeah, I am actually, after hearing that story, I am actually very lucky that it didn't
take a bath ever again.
I'm very lucky that I just, and it was only one ankle. It wasn't even both. Or
So
like
do
the
we need to
whole
get you
leg.
I remember when my grandmother was with us, staying with us for a while, that the one thing my parents did, this was a long time ago, they put the little adhesive stickers on the tub.
I had
Do
that
you need the little flower stickers?
I had that in college. They put that on our dorm tub because it had a tub.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a mat, an adhesive mat for my shower, and I actually did. I bought it a few years ago, and then we put it somewhere and never put it back in.
I guess I've never had a mat in my bathtub.
Well, let this and then Dirk's story be a cautionary tale. You could either sprain your little ankle like me, or you could have major surgery and be incapacitated for 2 months. Or worse, you could be dead.
Well, and worse, I more or less live alone. My daughter's working
exactly.
all the time.
I mean,
so
Moose
I will be incapacitated naked on the side of the tub.
Yeah.
For my daughter to come home and see me and then have to call an ambulance and try to get a robe on me or something. I mean, that's a whole nother
and then Moose
visual.
Maybe one of your neighbors would hear Moose barking.
No, he'd be like, oh, because every time I get out of the shower, he licks my legs, the water off my legs. So he would be licking at the water because I would be able to reach the shower, right? It'd be on.
Right.
He'd be doing that.
Thanks, Moose.
He would be no help.
Oh, how was his birthday, by the way?
Oh.
That was a week ago, too.
Yes.
That was why you weren't here.
That was part of it, and then also we didn't have water for,
oh, that's right.
Off and on for about 48 hours. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was a little... I had to go and get gallons of water from Walmart. Just in case. So that we could drink it. But he is 2, which makes him 14, right? In human years.
Yeah. He's a freshman in high school.
I will say he's grown up quite a bit compared to when, I first met him a year and a half ago. But
I didn't think I realized he was that young.
I mean, he still has some puppy tendencies, but he's definitely a lot smarter and calmer than he was even just 6 months ago. But he let me put on his hat. I did a pickup order from Target, and Target had the little happy birthday specifically for little dogs, because it had the way the elastic was, there's a little triangle of elastic that you could put the ears through. And he let me do that, and he let me take pictures, and he let me put the bandana on.
He's a good boy.
And then he's like, okay, are we done? And I'm like, okay, fine. I took it off, and I gave him his big cookie and got him some ice cream. And
the dog is so spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Dog ice cream? I don't think Wopsy's ever even gotten that.
There's two or three different brands. Even Ben & Jerry's makes a dog ice cream.
Makes dog ice cream? That's cute.
I think one brand is Dog Stir or something like that. They have cute, dog-related ice cream flavors, but it's cute. He's cute.
He is very cute. I like seeing pictures of him. All right, so it seems like there is a natural lull in conversation, which lines up perfectly with the top of the hour. So we're going to be back after this news and weather break. You're listening to the mighty 1630 KCJJ.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper in Chicago. A federal judge has sentenced Derek Chauvin for violating George Floyd's civil rights.
On top of his 22.5-year state prison sentence in the kneeing death of George Floyd, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin now also faces more than 20 years on federal charges. Floyd's death set off national, even international protests.
Chauvin doesn't get it. He's not sorry.
Attorney Robert Bennett represented a person who gave an impact statement because he allegedly suffered a similar kneeing by Officer Chauvin when he was just 14 years old. Tom Foti, CBS News.
Chauvin will serve slightly more time behind bars than he would have on the state sentence alone, and he'll be transferred to a federal prison. Among those injured during Monday's deadly parade shooting in suburban Chicago, 3 members of the same family. 2 have been released from the hospital, but the third, an 8-year-old boy, was shot in the chest and his spine severed. Family spokesman Tony Luisi.
They're devastated, but they're focusing all of their energy right now on Cooper. It's been a very emotional time for everybody in their circle.
A 22-year-old Highland Park man is charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder, with more charges expected. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he's stepping down. It comes after scandals and party resignations. One Londoner responding,
"There's no sorry, no nothing. It's just like, come on, you know, pitiful. All he wanted to do was get to the pub."
More from CBS's Ian Lee.
Johnson did express some remorse that he didn't complete everything he set out to do when he swept to power in 2019.
I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks.
Johnson says he'll remain in office until a new prime minister is chosen.
And it's up to his party to choose Johnson's replacement. The dollar is getting stronger. CBS's Monica Ricks reports.
For the first time in 20 years, the U.S. dollar is now nearly equal in value to the euro, which is great for inflation because a stronger buck makes imports to the U.S. cheaper. That includes everything from cars and computers to toys and medical equipment. A strengthened dollar is also good for American tourists who are sightseeing in Europe. But experts warn that if exports weaken, so will the economy.
Actor James Caan has died. CBS film critic Jeffrey Lyons says Caan had an incredibly long and varied career that began in the 1950s.
James Caan had an incredibly long and varied career, 137 credits dating back to the days of episodic television in the late 1950s, from The Untouchables all the way through to The Simpsons.
No cause of death was given for James Caan, who was 82 years old. This is CBS News.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more.
Did you book the Townsend's 10th anniversary ticket?
Alona's travel agency is overbooked and experiencing delays. She needs to land a new project manager to clear her business's runways.
Yes, Mrs. O'Hara, we checked. Pygmy goats do not count as emotional support animals.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Dell's Black Friday and July sale is here. Power productivity with a tech refresh, now with up to 45% off top-rated laptops like the XPS, along with our special deals on business desktops with Intel Core processors. Get big savings on the latest servers, storage, monitors, and more with free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
From the Hertin and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Hertin and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Now, Iowa City's news first.
I'm Jim Hunter with KCJJ News. North Liberty firefighters responded to a kitchen blaze Tuesday morning. According to a news release from the North Liberty Fire Department, crews were dispatched to 60 Penn Oaks Drive just before 10:15 a.m. for a building fire alarm. North Liberty police units were the first to arrive and reported smoke inside the building. They immediately began evacuating occupants. Upon arrival, firefighters found a fire in the kitchen in one of the apartments that had been extinguished by the building's automatic fire sprinkler system. All fire damage was contained to that unit. There were no civilian, law enforcement, or firefighter injuries reported. The cause is under investigation. A loss estimate is currently unavailable. An Iowa City man wanted after a forgery incident in November has been taken into custody. According to the criminal complaint, the victim was approached by 23-year-old Eric Flowers of Davis Street, who told her that he needed to cash some checks but didn't have his own bank account to do so. Flowers allegedly offered the woman some money if she would help him. The woman reportedly relinquished her bank account information and her debit card to Flowers or an associate of his. Text messages between Flowers and the woman said he planned to deposit checks into the account and withdraw money against the checks from her account. On November 30th, Flowers allegedly deposited a check with an amount over $4,750 into the woman's account. Those funds were quickly depleted either by Flowers or an unknown associate. When the check in question was dishonored by the victim's bank, the funds were reversed, leaving a debt of nearly $5,000, including fees. The account was then frozen by the bank. Police say subsequent text messages between Flowers and the victim showed Flowers tried to deposit a second check into the account but was unsuccessful. The woman was working with Flowers at the time of the incident and had his contact information loaded into her phone. She positively identified him as the person involved in the check cashing incident. Police investigating the matter determined that the check in question was a forgery. A warrant was issued for Flowers' arrest on May 6th, and he was taken to the Johnson County Jail Wednesday afternoon. Forgery is a Class D felony, punishable by a prison term of up to 5 years if convicted. The Department of Correctional Services filed a complaint on Flowers because of the arrest. He was on probation on a charge of using a juvenile to commit an indictable offense. A North Liberty man faces OWI and drug charges after an overnight incident in Iowa City this week. According to the arrest reports, 37-year-old Dustin Stucker was called in on a report of a suspicious vehicle in the 1300 block of Carroll Street just before 3 a.m. Wednesday. The vehicle, a 2010 Ford Fusion, had no plates, and Stucker was allegedly buckled in, passed out, and the vehicle running. Stucker reportedly had bloodshot eyes and constricted pupils and not oriented to where he was or what time it was. He denied drinking or ingesting drugs despite performing poorly on field tests. A PBT showed no blood alcohol content. Stucker was arrested for OWI third offense. A search of his person allegedly turned up a white powdery substance in a baggie located in his front right pocket. The substance was identified by Stucker as meth. A pipe for smoking the substance was also reportedly discovered. Stucker faces the OWI charge, as well as third or subsequent controlled substance possession and possession of drug paraphernalia. If convicted on all counts, he faces a prison sentence of up to over 10 years. And in sports, the University of Iowa is pursuing an upgrade to its field hockey building. The Gazette reports that the school said Tuesday they intend to retain professional services to build a new hockey facility adjacent to Grant Field. The proposed new building would be between 5,000 and 8,000 square feet and include locker room facilities, a press box, and office. Options include locating the building on the west side of Grant Field, north of the bleachers, or east of the field on the site of the existing press box. Companies have until July 22nd to bid on the job, with design consultant interviews scheduled for August 10th. Board of Regents spokesman Josh Lehman told the Gazette that the upgrades were part of the UI master plan, although they were not mentioned in master plan documents the board approved in January. With Iowa City's News First, I'm Jim Hunter.
KCJJ Weather, brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply, kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
With a look at your forecast, I'm meteorologist Ashley O'Connor. Cloudy skies tonight with scattered rain showers. Heavy downpours are possible at times. Low temps will fall to the upper 60s. Rain continues into the day tomorrow with a high of 80. Looking beautiful Saturday with a high temp in the low 80s. Sunshine on Sunday with a high near 85. Mainly sunny on Monday. The heat returns with highs in the upper 80s and low 90s. That's Casey.
On the mighty 1630 KCJJ.
Yes. And it's not just me. It's the other girl, too.
Hi.
Hi, the other girl. What's your name? What's your name?
Vecna. No.
Vecna! No!
That's the only thing I could think of. Cindy. My name is Cindy.
Oh, if you were under Vecna's spell, what song would get you out of it? Like, if your friends played a song for you to get you out of it.
Actually, I already posted this on Facebook.
Oh, did you?
And it would be Groove is in the Heart.
Yes! Oh, that was
it's
such
always
a pop.
been It's such a favorite song that
one.
several people that have known me forever like, oh yeah, I remember you always said you were going to play that at your wedding. I never did play it at my wedding. But it takes me back to the field house, the good old days, dancing.
That's a good wedding reception song. Grooves in the Heart.
I wanted to walk down the aisle.
What? Oh my god, that would have been awesome.
But then when I got married, I was a wimp and I didn't want to push any.
I was joking with one of my friends that if I ever get married, they suggested to me that I should walk down the aisle to Cotton Eye Joe. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Not some boring wedding march. We're dancing to Cotton Eye Joe during the ceremony.
Well, in Groove is in the Heart, there's the beginning part, and it goes that wee, that there's like a crescendo sort of, and then there's a stop, and then it starts again like really funky. That's when I would walk down.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. But that never happened because I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I don't know. I
think I got married too young, so.
What?
I mean, I was still 25, 26, I think, when I got married, which is not super young, but I don't think I was fully formed yet.
I think that is and this is an unpopular opinion, especially around these parts, but I feel like that's probably the youngest you should get married.
I mean, looking
25?
back, I think you should not get married unless you are strong enough personality-wise to say, hey, this is the song I want to walk down to in the aisle without feeling embarrassed. Because maybe people would think it was weird.
I feel like you shouldn't be embarrassed walking down the aisle at your wedding, period.
Well, you shouldn't be embarrassed to feel weird about it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're weird, just kind of embrace it. But I don't know that it's...
I am weird.
I know.
I would be
That's why
it.
You should get married tomorrow.
To who? To who?
I don't know.
What poor slob will be my husband?
I was going to do what they always do on the TV shows. So, if you and I are not married in 30 years, we're going to marry each other.
Except I'll be what? In 30 years, I will be almost 60.
But I'm at the point now where I'm like, but why? I mean, why? Why do you have to get married if you don't ever get married?
I know.
What I mean? Like, why do you have to get married?
Yeah, no, I've never understood that either. And also, it's like, it tends to be like, like opposite sex best friends who say that. And I'm like, just admit you have feelings for each other. And this is mostly in movies. I've never actually heard this happen in real life, but this is in movies. And I'm like, and they always do it way too young too. That's always been funny to me. They're like, if we're not married by 30, we marry each other and have kids. I'm like, at least you're 40. 30 is still super young.
But also, you don't even have to get married to have kids.
I know, just have the kids. Like, also just, you don't have to get married.
No.
That's never made sense to me. It's also like, if you love this person enough to be with them like forever, like be with them. Like right now.
I mean, I should say, the way the world's going right now, that might change.
Mm-hmm.
As females, we may not have any power unless we've got a man.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like that.
Directing it, but hopefully that won't come to that. But you don't even have to get, at least in Iowa, you don't even have to get married to get health insurance through your partners.
Oh, really?
Health insurance. You can just say you are, I mean, I think you have to.
Then what's the point?
I know, that's what I thought too. I know several people. One couple was in Georgia. They never got married, but they were, I always forget the phrase.
Common law married?
Not common law. There's another phrase for it.
I don't know.
But whatever that is, it's the equivalent of common law.
Like common law married, but yeah. So they've been together like so long, and they like.
But even like you don't even have to be together for like 7 years or whatever the years are. You just basically have to be in a household together.
Yeah. Someone in the chat room said their Vecna song would be Macarena.
Just to annoy everybody.
Or just because it's a bop. Maybe I should go down the aisle to Macarena.
But you realize that it's going to be a whole thing. Like, everyone would get involved in it.
Yes, I do. I don't want the focus to be on me. It should be a party, even
but
the ceremony.
It's your day.
Okay, why is it my day and not my husband's day?
Exactly.
Like,
although in my case, it definitely was my day because he really didn't do much, but.
Right, I feel like that's the thing. Like women are expected to just plan the whole thing, and the men are like, oh, whatever.
Because I think society.
It is society.
Maybe.
For sure.
I don't know.
No,
but
you're right.
When you're a little girl, they always say, oh, who's your boyfriend? Do you have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
You know, and then you're always like kind of pushed, at least in my day, it was pushed the whole Cinderella model of fantasy.
You know, I think that
romance.
That was on its way out when I was growing up.
Yeah, you're so lucky.
And thank God, because I don't think I've ever given much stock to what like my future wedding would be like. I don't like. That's not anything I thought about when I was a kid.
blame classic Disney princess stories and Flowers in the Attic for screwing me up romantically. Period.
And now you don't like Determined Hopper.
Now when you say, "Oh, I was watching Bridgerton," I go, bleh. Because I know it's all mostly romance.
It is, but that's the point.
But the kind that is, old school Jane Austen, like you can't actually show your affection, and God forbid you get in the garden with another man and you're not married.
It's called yearning.
Yeah,
it's called yearning.
I would not have done well back in that age. I know that part's fantasy of Bridgerton is, but it's definitely based in the.
It's not accurate. It's definitely based around the aesthetic of the
is
era.
like Game of Thrones. It's based in a historical moment in time, but there's definitely elements that were not historically accurate, or maybe not as. Wait, are there dragons in Bridgerton?
No.
Oh, because then I would watch it.
No,
is there any sort of like mystical, magical anything?
No, it's real life, except it's like an idealized version of Regency era. Like there are no slaves, there's no racism. There's everyone just gets along regardless of race, which is wonderful to see, but it's not realistic. I will say they in season 2 they even depart from like season 1, the parts they tried to make kind of realistic, like the hair and things, they just completely got away from that in season 2. Like the men have perfectly coiffed hair to like today's standards. One of the women has like 2007 style bangs, and it's just like, and honestly, it didn't take me out of it. Honestly, it just made them look better, because it would be better for like modern audiences. It's how we are used to seeing people.
Did you ever see the show Rain?
Yes, I love Rain.
That's the same kind of thing.
Yes,
like
it is.
Historically based on
events,
real
and
people, but like I remember reading an article about it. They basically took like modern fabrics and and then just kind of incorporated.
And styles.
I love the costume. Oh man,
like,
I love the costumes.
Yeah, Mary's wedding dress to Francis is like in a 1950s style, not at all like her dress would have been in the 15 whatevers when she actually got married.
Right. I loved that show.
Oh, me too. Yeah, it was great. Well, I didn't like season 4. I don't
even think I made it to season 4. I saw the first couple of seasons and I lost track of it, and I'm just it's too far gone.
The first 2 are the best. I think you should just.
And I only liked the romantical part of that show because I knew it was based in history, and it made me want to read more about that particular queen and king and
Mary and Francis. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Did you know Mary and Francis were actually only like 12 and 14?
They were very young.
They were very young. They were like children when they got married, and like I feel like. I mean, by all accounts, like, they got along well. They were, like, friendly. They were friends, maybe towards the end
of
Francis's life. Like, they fell in love. But, yeah, he died.
Life, yeah.
He died really young, and she had to, like, get, remarried. But
because she was chattel.
And she was only, like, 16, 17 when he died. So she was still, like, ready to go.
The good old days when they married you off to your cousin and you were like 12 years old.
Yeah, they were cousins.
And that's not just in royal households. That was
that was everywhere. But honestly, the royals kept up with that for a while. Like Queen Elizabeth herself is pretty inbred.
Yeah. They didn't know much about.
I think they just started straying from that, like the generation after Elizabeth, like with Charles, like he married Diana, which I think they were
distant cousins.
They were distant, but Lizzie married her first cousin.
I mean,
like
realistically, scientifically, I'm not recommending this, but if you have a child with your sibling, that first generation isn't going to be immediately
No, it's not going to be messed up, but
it's like the constant generation after generation after generation going back and forth.
That's how all of the royal men in Europe in the turn of the last century had hemophilia because of Queen Victoria. She's the one that married her first cousin. I think Liz and who just died, Philip, were more distant than that, but they're still cousins. But Victoria definitely married her first cousin. Yes. And their children and grandchildren carried on hemophilia.
It's almost like the people in power, even just a century ago, didn't know what they were doing. And yet we're still living by the rules. In America, even, they were still marrying each other's cousins. And those are the people that made all the rules that we're following today.
Keeping the bloodline close, Cindy. Right. That's what it's called. I don't like that. Imagine marrying your cousin.
I liked my family for the most part, but I was always the person that I didn't even want to date within my high school.
Really?
I liked going to the town over.
Oh, my gosh.
I would go over to Solon to find somebody to date. Because then when you broke up, like, you didn't have to, like, see him every day.
You didn't have to see him, yeah.
Still same.
Do you not date in
I dated a guy for 5 years who lived in Georgia.
That's crazy to me. How often did you go visit him?
A couple times a year. So he had family. Like, we actually went to the same high school. Mm-hmm. And then didn't know each other because City High is pretty big. Mm-hmm. But then years later, Facebook. Mm-hmm. I was going through my divorce. We dated. His family moved out of Iowa after he moved out of Iowa. Mm-hmm. And they moved to Missouri. So that's like a 4-hour drive. Mm-hmm. So he would come and visit his family a couple times a year. So I would go meet him there. And then I would drive or fly to Georgia a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever fly to, like, Iowa City? Cindy.
You know how, like, you look back on a relationship and you go, well, wait a second.
For 5 years he didn't go visit you?
I never pushed it. There was 3 times I kind of pushed it. The first time was like, hey, you still haven't met my dad. So why don't you come here for Christmas or Thanksgiving? Yeah. And then you spend a couple days. We'll do my family stuff, and then we'll drive down to your family. And we did finally do that. The second, there was one other time he came to visit me just really quick for like an overnight thing when he was visiting his family. The second time was to visit my family finally. And then the third time we were having our class reunion. And I'm like, I literally said to him, if you do not come to this class reunion and stay a couple days in Iowa City in this area, I will break up with you.
Laying down the law, Cindy.
But again, like, I never, and nothing against him. Honestly, I never pushed it, and I should have.
Yeah.
I know now that I tend to.
It's give and take. You need to go.
I feel bad if I make people.
You need to make an effort to. You just need to make an effort in a relationship. Like, that's what it is. Like, you show the person you care by showing up.
Right.
And emotionally or physically in this case.
I think I never want to ask because I don't want to be disappointed in them saying no, because I'd be like, I'll figure out a way to make it like, oh, they're not doing that because of X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. When really, I asked a very simple ask.
You did.
And
you're together. He should want to come visit you.
And again, I don't want to disparage him specifically because ultimately it really was my fault. I should have said, hey, this is important to me. You need to come to my house more often.
But also he should have done it. He should have wanted to.
I know. Yeah.
It's not totally your fault. You're right in the fact that you
see. I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it, aren't I?
Yes, you are. But you're right in the fact that you should have communicated like your wants, but also he should have wanted to.
If I'm always asking,
exactly.
At some point, if you're in a partnership with anyone, you should figure out what they. I mean, you don't need to read their mind, but in some cases, it's obvious.
It's like if you live in different states. It's just, it makes sense for you to take turns visiting each other in your own states.
But I did the same thing when I dated a guy that was, after that lived in Iowa City. And I still would spend almost all of my time at his house. Mm-hmm. And he very rarely came over to mine. I'm like, why do I do that?
Well, I would do that just because my house is always a mess.
Well, I mean, that too, but like... Also, like, I'd have to, like, ask to come over. You know what I mean? Like, he would never be like, hey, you should come over. You should come over. You should come over. It was just like I personally have to be invited everywhere. I don't care if we've been dating for 10 years and we always go to your house. You still need to invite me to your house. And I don't think that's
I feel like
bad.
If you're dating for 5 years, you could probably just show up.
Well, this guy, we'd only been dating for a year and a half. But still, like, I always felt like I had to ask for his time. And I realized at the end, I'm like, oh yeah, he didn't want to spend time with me.
Really should not
understand now.
You should not be begging for
right
and for basic attention in a relationship. If it gets to that point, then you need to move on or confront it head on.
Yeah.
Be like, do you want to spend time with me? If not, we need to end this. Plain and simple.
Well, now of course I've gotten to a point where I'm like, I'm good. I'm by myself. I'm good. But you know, it's fun to share time with other people, I guess.
Well, it is, yeah, for sure.
Every so often.
But
it's tough. It's hard when you hit 50 and you're comfortable. But you don't have to get married. Ultimately, that's where this started.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, but mostly ladies.
Mostly ladies.
You don't have to get married anymore.
No, you don't.
You can make your own money. You can get credit cards nowadays.
You can. Ever since 1970, what, 4?
19, way too late in the day.
74, yeah. For sure, way too late. But, yeah, but I've seen somewhere that, like, marriage is a better deal for the guy than it is for the woman, because there's just so much more expected of a wife than a husband. Still, in this day and age.
I agree, because it's like, and again, not all men, but I think a lot of times women are expected to do all the household work, do the cooking, do all that stuff.
Yep.
And yet, we're still working full time.
Yeah.
And women continue to do that stuff because they feel like they do it better, I think, too. I think there's a little bit of that. Like,
but didn't we've talked about weaponized incompetence, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, like, well, you just do it so much better anyway, babe. Like, I don't know how to do it.
But we all know the person that you try to help them and you don't do it right. And that person ends up doing it by themselves. And they should, because no one wants to help somebody who is nitpicky. Like, if I'm helping you out doing something, don't complain about the way I'm doing it.
But
if
also,
I'm doing it.
If you're doing it, like, really, really poorly, you should definitely, like, like, learn from the person you're learning from.
I agree, but I've helped people out before, and I'm like, I'm folding something like a normal person would, but they have a very particular way.
Okay,
you know what I mean? You
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about very basic household chores that certain men will purposely do poorly because they know their wife will redo it.
Okay, I will admit.
Were you that wife?
Well, I don't know how to start the lawnmower. Like, how do you start it? It never starts when I pull on it.
No, I will not. I
could totally start the lawnmower if I wanted to. But he did it.
I have lawn care guys come do it. I would rather not even think about.
Well, now I have my own grass
lawnmower.
trimmer. I'm very excited about.
Ooh.
So I could have done it. And the same thing with the grill. I don't know how to light it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to light it for me. Well, after we divorced, I bought a grill and lit it on my own and burned my own meat. Thank you very much.
Way to go, Cindy.
Yeah. But I've done that. I know exactly what it is. Or you do, like, if you're married, what you also can do is I'm going to hang this picture, and then you get out, like, a shoe. And if you get the wrong tools, and if you get them wrong enough, they will just suddenly find time to do the task that you want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably weaponized incompetence right there.
It is. But I feel like there's a little bit of a difference between, like, laundry, cooking dinner, storing something, cleaning.
And part of that also, I know that conversation I've seen on, like, TikTok, there's been a lot of back and forth about that. And some of it is one, and we can just de-sexify it. Just say one partner who's doing all the housework doesn't need to make a list for the other partner. Like, if you see the garbage full, you shouldn't have to be asked to take the garbage out. Just take the garbage out.
Exactly.
You should know every Monday night, that's when garbage night is.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Ultimately with that. Like, I just seem like there is still an imbalance in traditional marriages.
Right.
Where one party, and it usually is the woman, is doing, like, way more of the household chores, and both parties are working.
Right.
You know, that's what I meant by, like, it's more beneficial for men to be married than women.
I mean, I even think too. We were talking. dad and a family friend were talking about getting married again, and I'm like, I don't know that I would. I think I would lose money on the deal, because if I get married again and we end up divorcing, he would get part of my retirement, possibly part of my. I mean, assuming we make the same amount of money.
That seems really high stakes. I would rather just be in a long-term relationship forever than have to do the tie us together, and then it's like this whole thing to legally separate. And most marriages end in divorce now, right? Like statistically, it's very likely you will get divorced.
The only reason I could think of, and this is I didn't realize this is years ago when they were trying to legalize gay marriage, that I didn't know personally that once you're married, that spouse has certain rights. Like if, for example, if I was married and I got into a car accident and I was in a coma in the hospital, my spouse could come in to the room and make decisions for my health without any other paperwork. He's the spouse.
Yeah.
That's one of the rights that comes with the gay marriage, is that if you're not legally married...
Well, it's probably just real marriage.
Well,
I
should just say marriage. That's the thing that comes with marriage that I didn't realize. I mean, because I came from a place of privilege. I had always had a situation where I was going to be marrying a man, and that was going to be the legalized thing. And I never thought about it until someone explained to me that that's why we're fighting for marriage for all types of marriage, because that it was a lesbian couple. Like she couldn't go into the hospital and just make decisions for her partner, even though they'd been together for 20 years. And the same thing when they have children together, they have to like do all these other rigmarole to get the same rights you get just by signing a piece of paper with the opposite sex marriage, which would be the only reason why I would want to get. Hopefully my dad stays alive forever, because I think he's my... I mean, I have kids, I guess, now that they can come in and make decisions if they need to.
Allie your
power of attorney.
Your power of attorney.
Yeah. So I there goes my one reason for needing a legalized partner in my life.
Yeah, I feel like that's the perk. And there's other perks to getting married, obviously. I'm just saying that, to me, it seems not worth it.
I mean, the party's fun if you like that sort of thing. But
you just have a party. You just have a party. Like, hey, we've decided we're gonna be together for a while. Come celebrate us.
I really wanted to wear this really pretty dress, and I have nowhere else to wear it, so we're gonna have a not getting married party.
Exactly. Like, you can still have a registry. Like, hey, buy us gifts. We're gonna be together. Have you also heard of divorce registries?
I've heard of it.
Like when people get divorced, and they move out to a new apartment or something, like so many people I've seen are like, I would benefit way more from a divorce registry than I would from a wedding registry.
I definitely would have, because I didn't really have much.
Exactly, and it's like, when you get married, like, you're getting married to another person who has money, and so you can buy things together.
Right.
But when you're divorced, you're like a single person again, and you have to buy all this stuff by yourself, and you don't have the other person, like, to help.
And so many people they live together first anyway, so they already have a whole household set up before they get married. So the wedding gifts, you get nicer china than you've already bought. You know what I mean? Like, you already have all the stuff. At least that was the case in our situation. We already had everything we needed when we got married, because we were living together for almost 2 years.
Right. I think this goes back to when, like, people did not
have anything.
Did not have anything before the wedding. Like, the wedding was, like, when you first got together.
Right. You first kissed.
I can't imagine that.
I knew someone. This is in college. She was college aged.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know whatever happened to her. I wish I would have kept up on her. But I don't even think it was a super religious thing. I'm not sure what. what her reasoning was, but she wanted to save her first kiss for her wedding day.
Oh my God. And have your first kiss in front of all of your friends, family, and guests? Absolutely not.
I still think about her, and I kind of wonder if she ever got married. But
oh my gosh, good luck, girly.
Good luck finding it's very sweet. But again, I met her in college. I lived with her for a summer,
and you said it wasn't.
And that summer, I was pretty slutty. I'm just saying.
The dichotomy of that apartment.
I was doing everything but kissing at that point, but yeah, what a sweetheart.
That's funny.
God bless her.
I mean, I hope she found someone willing to wait too, but also I just feel like that's just kissing someone for the first time is awkward. I wouldn't want to do that in front of have your first kiss in front of like everybody.
I mean, did you ever watch the Duggar?
No, but I know, didn't they also have, like, the first kiss at the wedding? They had,
like, they could only hold hands while they were dating, and every single date had to be...
chaperone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, heavily chaperoned. But all they could do was hold hands.
Holding hands is great, but, like, it's...
Of course, he's a child molester, so, you know, that turned out well.
Ugh.
I don't even have to say allegedly anymore, do I? Because he was convicted.
He was convicted.
Okay, yeah.
Also, I don't care.
I know, I don't want to get in trouble. Actually, it'd be kind of cool to get sued by the Duggars. I'm like, dude, I watched like 17 seasons of your... I watched him when 15 kids and started and counting.
Oh my gosh. And not, what are they?
Now they're up to 21? Like 21 or 22, I think. I don't know.
That's too many. There's too many kids.
That's a lot of kids. I can't imagine being... I didn't like being pregnant twice, let alone...
And, like, towards the end, she was having, like, some problems.
Yeah.
Too. Like, and one of them was born, like, really, really premature. And then didn't they have another one after that?
I think so. I've lost track.
That's way too many kids. And also, I feel like when people have, like, kids and... like, it's kind of spread out like that, the older kids kind of are forced to parent the younger kids.
They get to. This is one of the, like, little cultures that I've been sort of fascinated with. It's that quiverful religion.
What?
It's called quiverful. There's another word for it. BPLP, I think, or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. But I follow a couple of TikTokers that have gotten out of it, and they run gossip on the Duggar family specifically. A lot of people do. I can't remember the name of it, but it's very conservative Bible thinking. And in the Duggar family specifically, and I think this is the way they raise children across this whole little, I want to say cult, but this religious sect, is they partner the adult girls or the older girls with a child or more than one child. I forget what they called it. They called it, they might have just said partnering, but in one of the episodes, in one of the episodes, she just very, like, I don't know if you've ever seen an episode, but Michelle is like she's completely not there. Like, she's not on drugs, but I think she's just had so many kids that she's got that, that chemical that runs through your brain when you're, like, pregnant and breastfeeding that makes you calm. She has like an excess of that. Yeah. But she, like, and she's done interviews, and I've seen interviews where she's talked about how it was really tough when they had the first couple children. But then as the first couple children got older, she would have more babies, and those older children would partner with the kids, the little babies.
A burden to give your older children. I feel like that's not fair.
And if you see the shows, if you watch any of the shows and you pay attention, you'll see the girls are all learning
how to
mother stuff, which is great. If that's what you want to do, that is awesome. That is an awesome path, but that is the only path that they're given.
Yeah, that's the only path that they're given. They're not choosing it. Or if they say they're choosing it, it means they don't know they can do anything else.
And all the boys are all running all over the place, going crazy. It's crazy. I'm just glad I was born in the liberal family that I was born in.
Yeah, me too. Like, for sure. And that we didn't go to church growing up, but like they did send me to vacation Bible school, which I'm not sure why, but I went. And when I was like a kid, I liked it. But once I was 13, I started to like actually listen to what they were saying, and I'm like, oh, this is not for me. And so I stopped going.
I remember even as a kid I was born and raised a Catholic, and I went all the way up through the last not communion.
Catechism?
Well, I had to go every Wednesday night. We had to go to catechism class. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember what the last one is. You're like a sophomore or junior in high school, and you basically commit yourself to, there's a word for
confirmation.
It. Confirmation.
Yeah, I had a friend who was confirmed our junior year of high school.
I still have nightmares of having to go to Regina High School to try to find the classroom I was supposed to go to, and then skipping. In my dream, I skipped the class, and then I get in trouble.
Oh, my God.
I never skipped the class. But I still have nightmares about having to go to a class. I mean, just it's social anxiety, not the class itself.
Right.
But, like, I just remember thinking as a kid, I'm like, why aren't there any women priests up there? Because in Catholic religion, there are no females.
Yeah. Female priests. They're females, but not female priests.
No, they're not. I mean, nobody in power. I mean,
yeah. So you didn't get confirmed?
I did get confirmed.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Of course, I did what I was supposed to do. In my dream, I'm Little Miss Rebel, and yet I still feel anxious about it.
Yep.
I'm just glad my parents didn't make me go to Regina the whole time, because that would have been a little too much.
I had a similar dream, not the social anxiety, but like, you know, when you're in your dream, you're Little Miss Rebel and you speak your mind, whatever, but not in reality. So I had a dream like a year ago, maybe, or maybe a year and a half ago, that I was with Kim Reynolds on like a campaign bus. I don't know why I would be there, but I like absolutely went off on her. I was like, you're doing such a bad job. You're a bad governor. You're a disgrace to Iowa. Like, you should resign. And she was like crying. And she's like, why are you doing this to me? I'm just a wife and grandmother. I'm like, no, you're a politician and you suck at it. You should resign. Oh my God. And so I woke up and I'm like, why was that a dream?
Way to go, Dream Molly.
I know, I'm like, damn.
You made Kim Reynolds cry.
I know, I made her cry. And I'm like, hell yeah. And then I'm like, oh no.
Civil Union.
Oh, Civil Union.
Our good friend, you can't do that on television.
Oh, and then Insane Kathy is also in here, or was.
I don't know who Insane Kathy is.
I don't know either. Is she just
well, I don't know who you can't do that on television.
A new fan.
And then he asks if I like Pride and Prejudice, and I
do.
I love those books. I've, like, all the Jane Austen type books I've read, and I liked them at the time that I read it, which was like in college, maybe a little bit later, early 30s, let's say. I don't know that I would like rereading them today.
Probably not.
I'd be upset.
Probably not, since it's the kind of romance or yearning romance that you don't seem to like anymore, and so you probably won't.
Well, plus, even when I liked it, I was always like, why didn't they just tell the guy that they liked him?
Oh, but it's the Regency era.
I know, I don't understand. I mean, not that I do that now. I don't go blurting out to people like, hey, I really like you. But it just seemed like it would solve a lot of problems.
It would, but then you wouldn't have any drama or build-up.
And also, ultimately, those books were written around the idea that the women really didn't have a choice of who they could marry.
And they don't.
This gave a little bit sort of like a pretend like you do have a choice, but you really don't have a choice. Mm-hmm. So maybe they didn't know how to write full-on lusty novels of true love.
Right.
I don't know. Mr. Darcy was kind of a twerp, wasn't he?
He was.
He was kind of mean.
He was.
He definitely was of the neg the girl.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. For sure.
Like, tell her ugly friend that she's prettier than you. That kind of guy. Right?
Maybe.
Where you neg the girl and...
Negging is like, wow, you're cool for a girl. Or like, you're so good at that for a woman.
Oh, you'd be pretty if you lost 10 weight. 10 pounds.
Or like,
That's
oh,
an egg.
you have such a pretty face. But like, it's really heavily implied that your body is not.
We would suck. Negging people, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah.
We can't even come up with an example.
Because I'm not a bad person. I don't neg
I don't
people.
recommend that as a way to get women, by the way.
Mr. Darcy was a jerk. You're right. You're right, he was. But Elizabeth wanted him, and so she had him.
And Insane Kelly makes a good point. Almost every woman marries down, only to get married. Only get married if you can avoid this mistake.
What mistake?
Of
marrying down.
Marrying down.
So if you marry up, you can. Okay. Yeah.
Or marry equal.
Yeah. Equal or up.
I mean, if you can marry a prince or a king of a country.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. But only if he renounces his crown, lives in America.
No.
And still can keep all the billions of dollars.
No, I'm going to whatever country that, barring that, like, I have rights and stuff in that country.
I would prefer the Meghan Markle route. They still are rich.
I don't know.
They still get invited to parties.
I'm going with Kate Middleton here.
She still gets interviewed by Oprah.
But I think the only reason Harry has any money is because Diana, like, set aside some money for her children.
I don't care where it came from.
Yeah, but I'm saying that, like, under normal circumstances, if you renounce, like, your title or something, I don't know if you get to keep the money.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, so the only reason he has money is because Diana, like, I think probably knew it was going to happen to her.
I should probably rethink my retirement plan then, huh? All the royals are pretty much married off anyway, I think.
Yeah,
or
I
too
think
young.
so.
Or too, well, never too old, but too young.
Never too old?
Well, if you're going to marry rich...
Oh, that's true. Do the Anna Nicole Smith
You
route.
want to do the payoff quicker.
I love how... when Anna Nicole Smith married that, like, 85-year-old guy, and she tried to claim that, like, oh, no, we're in love. We're like, nobody believes that, girl.
So,
Nobody
I love
believes
Anna
that.
Nicole Smith.
Who doesn't?
And I have seen, granted, they were probably set up video clips that she's like, hey, show me, be nice. She was very sweet to him. Well, he was completely loop-de-loo and not really aware what was going on, but she was super sweet to him.
She probably shouldn't have married the man if he was loop-de-loo and didn't know what was going on. I feel like that's probably manipulative. Actually, very manipulative. I'm sure it's
I'm
manipulative.
not saying she was being altruistic or whatever with that. But I don't think she ultimately got anything in the end.
Oh, she didn't?
I mean, they were fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting all throughout. Like, I don't know if you ever watched her reality show, but they were still fighting to get money off of that estate.
Oh. I mean, he probably had, like, children and
he had
causes
he
that
had
he wanted to
a son that was, like, twice her age.
Yeah.
So there was definitely family from before.
I feel like if I was that son, I'd be like, absolutely, I'm getting the money and not her because she married my dad just to, get the money from him.
Yeah. But he supposedly bought her, like, I don't know, houses and stuff like that.
Well,
or promised her a bunch of stuff. But I will defend Anna Nicole Smith until the day I die.
Molly would be great at making Republicans cry. I hope so.
I still think you'd be too nice face to face.
I think so too. I think I'd be too polite face to face. As much as I am here behind the mic saying like, yeah, I would like curse Kim Reynolds out. Bleh, I probably wouldn't.
I mean, if Kim Reynolds called in right now, we both would be like, okay, what would your Vecna song be? And not talk about that.
No, it wouldn't. I think I would be a little more brave behind the mic, but if I was like face to face with her, yeah, I am all bark and no bite.
I don't know that I would know who she was face to face. I mean, I know what she looks like on TV.
I know what she looks like. I know what she looks like. Oh, someone says, last I knew they were still fighting her kids for the money. Whose kids? You mean his kids?
I'm thinking, based on we talked about Anna Nicole Smith about 30 seconds ago.
No,
right?
I know, but he said, I think he means, like, they're still fighting with his kids for the money, right?
Possibly, but, like, all of her, like, Anna Nicole's dead.
Yeah.
Her son is dead.
Oh.
He died, like, a few months after she did. It was a really sad, I mean, that whole family's sad. Danny Lynn, or whatever the daughter's name is.
Huh?
She's still around.
Okay.
And the photographer boyfriend that ended up being the actual father to Danny, or whatever the daughter's name is, he's the full-time dad to her. Because for a while they were saying that Howard Stern, not the DJ, not the Howard Stern private parts guy.
What?
Oh, do you know who Howard Stern is?
I know the name.
Like the radio personality.
Yeah.
Not him,
Not
but another
him.
guy named Howard Stern, who's a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Who was the one that was in the reality show.
I never saw the reality show.
Okay.
I'm purely going off of, like, just things I've read or, like, things I know through osmosis.
I know probably too much. Probably because she was on a reality show. So
Right.
And you know how I feel about reality TV. It is life. Okay, I think I know who the new guy is.
Oh, who?
It's possibly the guy. I don't know what his name is on here, but it might be the guy I went out with on Saturday.
I don't want to, like, blast your private business on the air, but how did it go? Without giving like too many details.
I think we can talk about the thought process that went into where we were going to meet.
Okay.
Because it's a good time to talk about safety and dating.
It is. It's always a good time to talk about safety and dating.
We both had expressed interest in getting more active and mobile. Mm-hmm. And I know he had been kayaking, and that's one of the reasons why I right swiped on him, because he was getting active, and I liked the idea of that. Mm-hmm. Without being a gym bro, he was trying to get activity back in his life. And so I'm like, hey, let's meet for a walk. And immediately I'm like thinking of places that we could go that weren't going to be remote. Mm-hmm. Which, of course, I chose Terry Trueblood.
As far as walking paths go, it's still pretty, like, I mean, it's
fairly busy on a Saturday.
It's fairly busy,
but not so busy that we're going to be knocking into people.
Yeah.
And it's out in the open. The entire loop there's only one little wooded area, mm-hmm. and even that's pretty public. And it was I think we were there for about an hour walking around. It was a little too hot, but other than that. But that's what I was thinking of. And, of course, the whole time I'm thinking, do I make him come to Iowa City? He lives in Cedar Rapids. I don't like making him drive all over the place. But I'm like, wait, I feel comfortable on my home turf, and it's the first time we meet.
And if he's willing to drive all the way, I think it's okay.
I thought that was...
For the first time, it's okay.
He didn't even balk at it. He just, I'll meet you there. I'll just find out where it is. I'm like, okay, great.
I feel like if you continue to see each other, though, you should definitely, like, switch off.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
And I like eating in Cedar Rapids more than I like eating here.
Or meet in, like, North Liberty or somewhere.
But that was the thought process. I'm like, okay, I got to be safe. And I told a couple of friends what I was doing.
Good.
And then I told my friend Wendy that if I end up getting murdered, could she please make sure I get on Dateline? And she said, well, maybe 2020, because I like Elizabeth Vargas better.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, yeah, but 2020 only does the really popular things. So, like, the really big, like, he would have to be a serial killer for me to get, like, a well-known, finally caught in Iowa City serial killer for me to get on 2020. Right?
I don't know. I've not.
Dateline does everything.
The last time I watched Dateline, I was in a hotel room, and I woke up in the middle of the night and thought Amy was, like, some man who had intruded into the room. So
I don't ever have nightmares about the Dateline show. My kids do the same thing. Like, Katie gets a little nervous if she's listening to too much murder. I'm like, you're not listening to enough.
I can't do it right before bed. I can't do scary stuff before bed either, because I'm, like, extremely susceptible to, like, whatever I was just doing, watching, or whoever I was just talking to. Mm-hmm. If I'm talking to one of my friends, like, right before I go to bed, they'll most likely end up in my dream.
Yeah, same. But It's comforting. I did not get murdered, obviously. I don't think he's the type. So far.
And they're talking about the Raiders. Who are the Raiders?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm assuming some
Raiders
kind of sports
is
team.
Or the Raiders are they the Pittsburgh Raiders? No. What city are they? Detroit. No.
Detroit? No.
Is it Detroit? Is it Raiders is football?
I don't know.
Hockey?
I don't know. Basketball? Baseball?
American football? Not American football?
You know what? It's baseball season right now. I'm going to go with baseball. Help us out.
Okay, Madden was the best Raiders coach. I know Madden was a football person.
Oh, it's football. Okay. All right. I don't know sports.
Raiders
I'm
is...
sorry. Las Vegas.
Las Vegas? Las Vegas has a football team?
I didn't know that. What? You guys? What sport is this, please?
I know it's football.
I didn't know Las Vegas had a team.
Okay, did any of the Raiders football players date a Kardashian? That's how I would know.
Right, so true. Or Jessica Simpson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she dates a lot of... Wait, is she married now?
She is married to a former NFL player, and she was dating... not Tim Tebow. A popular football player before Tim Tebow was like a popular football player. I don't remember what his name was again. He played for the Dallas Cowboys in the late 2000s, and he also dated Carrie Underwood.
Yeah, don't most teams have like the state or the city? So
yeah, like the Dallas
Pittsburgh
Cowboys.
Raiders. No, is that sound right?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah. What are the Raiders? Oh, they used to be in Oakland. Well, the Oakland are the A's now.
Isn't that baseball?
Yes. Well, it's A stands for athletics, so it's all the teams in Oakland.
I didn't know they could do that.
They still haven't... You said you know it's football, but they still haven't confirmed that it's football.
Well, they could be talking about Steve Madden, who is my favorite shoe designer. Which is why my email is Madden Girl, but... Okay, football. They're showing little icons of football.
Thank you, Insane Kathy, who is... oh, you said where? Where did you say football?
At the bottom.
No,
she's... Oh, where it's at? I don't know, still. We could Google it. Okay. Raiders.
Thank you, chat room. I don't know my sports.
I honestly don't know where Raiders is.
Why do we have such an active chat room at the end of our show? We were begging for people for the first hour.
Have they always been? I've never heard of a Las Vegas
No,
team.
I've never heard of that. I think that's new. I think they were Raiders fans said they were in Oakland before. So Las Vegas must have acquired them within the past few years, because honestly, I didn't think.
You think that would have been in the news or something?
It probably was, but it was not on my radar because I don't pay attention to sports.
Okay, I swear to God, if I get a bunch of TikToks about Raiders tonight, I'm going to be really nervous.
Wait, they're very disappointed with me in the chat room.
They're disappointed but not surprised that we don't know.
Facepalm emojis. I like disappointing the chat room. It's very fun. But you're going to listen anyway.
I don't...
Because
it doesn't say where they used to be.
Oakland.
Oh, Oakland Raiders, Los Angeles. Oh, they've been all over the place. They're quite the little...
Yeah, these teams...
The tramps of football.
Yeah, they switch cities sometimes. I don't understand it.
They were in Oakland from 1960 to 81, and then again 95 to 2019, and then Los Angeles 1982 to 1994.
Okay.
Apparently, they just go for whoever buys them nice things.
It's all about money. Do any of you... Can you help me? Who dated Jessica Simpson in 2009? Chat room. Do you remember? Because I had just read it in her autobiography, but I cannot for the life of me remember his name.
I'm looking up Jessica Simpson dates.
Well, she's married to a former NFL player now named Eric, I know. And then her first husband was Nick Lachey. Which I know.
They had a reality TV show that was super duper cute.
Yes.
It was super duper cute. Oh, somebody messaged us on Molly Suter and the other girl. Tony Romo.
Yes, thank you.
Tony Romo. Was he on in The Godfather? Or
what?
That sounds like a
No.
Tony Romo.
That sounds Italian. Thank you, Dirk. It was Dirk.
Okay.
Yes, Tony Romo. Thank you.
Oh, that's adorable that he knows who Jessica Simpson's dating history is.
Well, he probably knows the football player and that he dated.
He's like, I've been keeping tabs on her since her reality show.
I've been keeping tabs on Jessica Simpson. Or maybe he read her book, just like I did. The book was really good, people.
I might check it out after I finish
should.
The Flowers in the Attic.
It's called Open Book by Jessica Simpson. I wasn't even a big fan of hers, but like a couple of my friends had read the book and they told me that it was really good. So I read it, and I will say John Mayer is a real creep.
I don't understand how he's still getting women to date him.
Because he's a musician, he's talented.
I know, but like I remember thinking, oh my God, he's so cute. Like back when he first came out on the scene, like 100 years ago. And then like I just hear story after story of all these women that are just like, I don't want to say anything mean about him, but he's kind of
Taylor
like,
Swift.
I'm gonna write this really horrible song about him, but I'm not gonna say anything mean about him. Like he's what do they call the people that are inspiration?
Muses?
Muse. He's like the anti-muse, basically. He's a muse for like
I
all
mean,
of the heartbreak in the world.
I mean, it's still a muse, but it's coming from like a space of pain and instead of like
and there's still women out there like
inspiration.
just dating him.
Well, and
like it's public knowledge that he does not treat women very well.
He doesn't, no. And he like didn't he say that his can I say penis on the air? I just did. His penis is a white supremacist. He doesn't have sex with black women.
He said that out loud?
He said that during like a Rolling Stone interview. Or like an interview with some magazine. It might have not
that
been
he knew
Rolling
was being
Stone.
recorded and written down.
Yes.
What is wrong with him?
And why is he still like doing things?
Like, okay, if your preference is a certain whatever type of person, that's fine.
It's not acceptable to say it like that.
Right.
And even that just means you're a white supremacist, dude.
But also, like, it's one thing to, like, you dig white chicks. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, to come right out and say, I will never, you know what I mean? Like, I've learned not to say I will never because something always happens.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, and then also to refer to it as a white supremacist, which is the worst kind of thing to refer to anything. Like, you might as well say my penis.
I think we can say it's a body part. I think we can say it.
Is Hitler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why would you use that phrase unless there's something, like, you just don't like people that aren't white in general?
Yeah,
not just
exactly.
dating. Yeah. I think everyone has a preference. Some people like people that are bigger. Some people like people that are skinnier or whatever. You know, like, that's kind of a preference maybe, I think.
But it's different in this case.
In this case, you used a descriptor that is pretty extreme.
He doesn't treat women very well either. And
well,
it's just,
next time we're gonna have to talk about how much we hate him.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about how much John Mayer sucks. But we do have to go now. Yes. So thanks for listening, and the next time the show will be on, I don't know, do you want to do Thursday and Friday next week?
Let's just do Friday.
Let's just do Friday. Yeah, so Friday is Radiothon, and so she'll be with me. We'll be promoting Radiothon. So it won't be like as thorough as this show is, just like us talking for 2 hours straight. It'll be more like structured around, hey, donate to Table to Table. And if you want to get a jump start, you go to table2table.org and you can start donating if you would like to.
It's very exciting.
Yes. All right, so thanks for coming in, Cindy.
Yeah.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
From the Hertine and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Hertine and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Now, Iowa City's News First.
I'm Jim Hunter with KCJJ News. The Johnson County Sheriff's Office has released further details on the incident at the GuideLink Center on Southgate Avenue Tuesday. Law enforcement was called to the center around 2 p.m. after an individual came into the building and began physically assaulting staff members. Once officers arrived on scene, the individual began assaulting them, and the individual was detained. He was taken to a local hospital for evaluation. A backpack was left on scene with suspicious materials inside. The Johnson County Metro Bomb Team removed the backpack, which contained incendiary materials with an attached fuse. The package was removed without incident. Law enforcement then obtained information that indicated the suspect, 23-year-old Nezzy_Conway, had been in contact with a former teacher and told them that if the teacher and Conway's mother couldn't find him a